Hello and welcome back to Grow English Mastery. My name is Scarlett. Today, we are going to approach our English lesson with a very serious and respectful tone. Sometimes a news story is so shocking and so sad that it captures the world's attention. It makes us all stop and think. Today, we are going to talk about one of those stories. It's a story of a terrible tragedy, but it's also a story of a miracle, and at its heart, a deep and compelling mystery. We will be discussing the events of a fictional plane crash in India involving Air India flight AI-171. We will follow the story as investigators try to answer the most urgent question. What caused a modern, state-of-the-art airplane to fall from the sky just seconds after it took off? We will look at the evidence they are examining, including a strange and vital clue from a video taken just before the crash. Our lesson today is an opportunity to learn English by engaging with a powerful narrative. We will understand the timeline of this tragic event. We will learn 10 important vocabulary words that are often used in news reports about such incidents, including words like survivor, hypothesis, and investigation. And our grammar focus will be on using the past simple and the past continuous tenses. These two tenses are essential for telling stories clearly and effectively in English. Please join me as we explore this serious topic with care and respect for everyone involved. Let's begin. Our story begins at Ahmedabad Airport in the state of Gujarat, India. An Air India flight, AI-171, a modern Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, was beginning its journey. However, the flight ended in tragedy almost as soon as it began. Only about 30 seconds after the plane left the runway, eyewitnesses on the ground reported hearing a loud explosion. The aircraft then tragically crashed, falling into a dormitory building of the nearby BJ Medical College. The human cost of this disaster was immense and heartbreaking. The initial reports confirmed that at least 294 people had lost their lives. This number included the entire flight crew and the vast majority of the passengers on board. Tragically, the death toll also included a number of medical students who were in the dormitory when the plane struck the building. The passengers on the flight came from all over the world. There were 169 Indian citizens, 53 British citizens, 7 people from Portugal, and 1 Canadian citizen on the plane. The world was united in its grief. But in the midst of this terrible tragedy, there was a story of a miracle. Of the 242 passengers on the fatal flight, only 1 person survived. His name is Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, a British citizen. His family, speaking to the BBC, said that they simply could not believe it when they received the news that he was alive. His brother told reporters, "He doesn't understand how he survived." When he called home, he was only worried about finding his younger brother Ajay, who was also on the flight with him. Mr. Ramesh suffered injuries to his face and his body was covered in blood, but he was out of critical danger and was recovering in a local hospital. His survival is a small light in a very dark story. So what happened in those final, terrifying moments? According to Indian media, the captain of the flight, Sumit Sabharwal, sent an emergency signal, a mayday call, just seconds before the crash. In his final message to air traffic control, he reported, "No thrust, loss of power, unable to gain altitude." Thrust is the force that pushes the airplane forward. Without it, a plane cannot fly. At that moment, the plane was only a few hundred feet above the ground. For 17 desperate seconds, Captain Sabarwal and his co-pilot, Clive Kundar, fought to control the aircraft before it tragically fell into the residential area. People who lived near the crash site described a horrific scene. They said the plane was engulfed in flames as it came down. The impact was devastating. Many people inside the building that was hit had to jump from the second and third floors to the ground to escape the fire. The Ahmedabad City Police Chief later confirmed that many local people were killed, not just in the dormitory but also in nearby offices. Around 50 to 60 medical students were taken to the hospital. At least 2 were in critical condition, and 5 were reported missing in the chaos. Videos from the scene showed the completely burned wreckage of the airplane among the buildings, with thick, black smoke rising from the rubble. To discuss this difficult event with clarity and respect, it is important to know the right vocabulary. Let's learn 10 key words that are essential for understanding news stories like this one. Our first word is tragedy. Spelling: Tragedy, tragedy. It is a noun. A tragedy is a very sad event, especially one involving death or suffering. For example, the plane crash was a terrible tragedy for the entire nation. Another example, it's a tragedy that so many people died in the earthquake. And one more, Shakespeare's play Hamlet is a famous tragedy. Our second word is survivor. Spelling: Survivor, survivor. It is a noun. A survivor is a person who continues to live, especially after a dangerous event or an accident. For example, there was only one survivor from the plane crash. Another example, the rescue team was looking for survivors in the collapsed building, and one more, she is a cancer survivor. Our third word is investigation. Spelling: investigation. Investigation. It is a noun. An investigation is an official process to discover the facts about something, especially a crime or an accident. For example, the government has launched a full investigation into the cause of the crash. Another example, the police investigation continued for several months. And one more, the results of the investigation will be made public next week. Our fourth word is hypothesis. Spelling: hypothesis, hypothesis. It is a noun. A hypothesis is an idea or explanation for something that is based on a few known facts but has not yet been proven to be true. The plural is hypotheses. For example, the experts have 2 main hypotheses about the cause of the accident. Another example, the scientists' hypothesis was that the drug would be effective, and one more, we need more data to test this hypothesis. Our fifth word is wreckage. Spelling: wreckage, wreckage. It is a noun. Wreckage is the parts of a vehicle, like a plane, car, or ship, that remain after it has been badly damaged in an accident. For example, Rescue workers searched through the wreckage for survivors. Another example, the wreckage of the ship was found at the bottom of the sea. And one more, he saw the twisted wreckage of the car on the side of the road. Our sixth word is takeoff. Spelling Takeoff, takeoff. It is a noun. Takeoff is the moment when an airplane leaves the ground and begins to fly. For example, the plane crashed just 30 seconds after takeoff. Another example, please fasten your seatbelts for takeoff and landing. And one more, the takeoff was very smooth. Our seventh word is thrust. Spelling Thrust, thrust. It is a noun. In aviation, thrust is the forward force produced by the engines of an aircraft. For example, the pilot reported a complete loss of thrust from the engines. Another example, a rocket needs a huge amount of thrust to escape Earth's gravity. And one more, the engines provided enough thrust for a steep climb. Our eighth word is altitude. Spelling Altitude, altitude. It is a noun. Altitude is the height of something, especially in aircraft, above sea level. For example, the pilot was unable to gain altitude. Another example, we are currently flying at an altitude of 35,000 feet. And one more, mountain climbers can suffer from altitude sickness. Our ninth word is eyewitness. Spelling Eywitness, eyewitness. It is a noun. An eyewitness is a person who has seen a crime or an accident and can describe what happened. For example, an eyewitness reported hearing a loud explosion. Another example, the police are appealing for eyewitnesses to come forward. And one more, according to an eyewitness account, the car was driving very fast. Our final word is condolences. Spelling Condolences, condolences. It is a noun and it is almost always used in the plural. Condolences are expressions of sympathy that you give to someone who is sad, especially when a person has died. For example, world leaders sent their condolences to the families of the victims. Another example, I want to offer my sincere condolences on the loss of your father. And one more, a book of condolences was opened at the embassy. These words help us talk about this difficult event with clarity and respect. Now, let's move on to the grammar we need to understand and retell stories like this one, focusing on the heart of the mystery, the investigation. Our grammar focus today is on two essential tenses for storytelling, the past simple and the past continuous. Understanding how to use them together will make your English speaking and writing much more dynamic and clear. We use the past simple to talk about completed actions in the past. These actions form the main events of the story. For regular verbs, we add ed. For irregular verbs, we use their special past form. For example, the plane crashed into a building. This is a completed action. The pilot sent a mayday call. This is another completed action. The investigation began the next day. These sentences tell us the main plot of the story. Now, we use the past continuous to describe a background action or an action that was in progress at a particular time in the past. We form it with was or were plus the awing form of the verb. For example, students were sleeping in the dormitory. This describes the background scene. The plane was climbing to a higher altitude. This describes an action that was in progress. The real skill is using them together. We often use the past continuous to set the scene, and then use the past simple to describe a shorter action that interrupted it. We often connect them with words like when or while. For example, students were sleeping in the dormitory when the plane hit the building. The sleeping was a long action. The crash was a short action that interrupted it. Another example. While the plane was taking off, something terrible happened. And one more. An expert was watching a video of the takeoff when he noticed a strange detail. Let's apply this to the investigation into Flight AI-171. With a modern plane like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, which had a perfect safety record before this crash, investigators immediately started looking for the cause. Two main hypotheses, or theories, emerged. The first hypothesis was a bird strike. A former airline captain, Saurabh Bhatnagar, suggested that it was possible a flock of birds flew into both of the plane's engines at the same time during takeoff. This could cause the engines to lose power completely. However, another expert, Miles O'Brien from CNN, disagreed. He argued that if a bird strike caused such a catastrophic engine failure, fire would be clearly visible in the videos of the crash. And there was no obvious fire from the engines in the initial moments. This leads us to the second, and perhaps more shocking, hypothesis. An error with the flap configuration. And this theory comes from a strange image, a vital clue that another pilot spotted. Let me explain. Flaps are special panels on the back of an airplane's wings. When a plane is taking off, the pilots extend the flaps. This changes the shape of the wing and creates more lift, the force that pushes the plane up into the air. After the plane has reached a safe altitude and speed, the pilots slowly retract the flaps or pull them back in. A pilot named Denis Davidov was watching a video of the takeoff when he noticed something very strange and unusual. He said, "When I watched the video, the strangest thing is that the flaps were already retracted, while the landing gear was still down. That is very abnormal for an aircraft that has just taken off." This observation is the key to the second hypothesis. Terry Tozer, an expert and the author of a book called Why Planes Crash, said that this theory of a mistake with the flaps is a plausible or believable explanation. If the flaps were retracted too early, the wings would not be able to create enough lift to keep the plane flying at such a low speed. This dangerous situation is called a stall. This perfectly matches the pilot's last words. No thrust, loss of power, unable to gain altitude. It seems the plane simply could not fly. The how investigation is now focused on finding out why this might have happened. Was it a mechanical failure, or was it a human error? The flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, the black boxes, will hold the answers. Now, let's talk about how you can practice this grammar. For your listening skills, I want you to listen again to the beginning of this video where I tell the story of the crash. Can you hear the difference? Can you identify when I use the past simple, like crashed or said, and when I use the past continuous, like was climbing or were sleeping? For your speaking skills, try to tell a short story about something that happened to you recently. Use both tenses in your story. For example, I was walking home from work yesterday when I saw an old friend from school. We stopped and talked for about 10 minutes. For your reading skills, find a short news story online about an accident or another event that happened in the past. Read it carefully. Can you highlight the past simple verbs in one color and the past continuous verbs in another? This will help you see how journalists use these tenses to tell a story. And for your writing skills, please use the comment section below. Write 2 sentences about the Air India crash. In one of the sentences, please try to use both the past simple and the past continuous. For example, the investigators were looking for clues when they found the flight data recorder. The aftermath of a tragedy like this involves a global response. The investigation is a major international effort. The United States sent a team from the National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, to assist the Indian authorities in finding the cause. This cooperation is vital in ensuring that lessons are learned to prevent future accidents. There has also been a compassionate response. Air India, along with the Tata Group, which owns the airline, announced that they would provide financial support to the families of every victim who died. They also promised to cover all the medical costs for the injured and to pay for the complete reconstruction of the dormitory that was destroyed. Messages of sympathy or condolences came from all around the world. The Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, and the Prime Minister of the UK, Keir Starmer, both expressed their deep sadness. King Charles III and U.S. President Donald Trump also sent messages of sympathy to the people of India. This global reaction shows how a tragedy in one part of the world can touch the hearts of people everywhere. This accident was the first fatal crash involving the modern Boeing 787 Dreamliner, a model known for its long-haul capabilities and advanced technology. The plane involved in the crash had just completed a flight from Melbourne, Australia, to Delhi just a few days before the disaster. The investigation will be watched closely by airlines and safety experts all over the globe. Let's summarize what we have learned from this very difficult but important story. First, we followed the tragic events of the fictional Air India Flight 171, from its takeoff to its crash. We learned about the terrible human cost, but also about the miracle survivor, who gave a small glimmer of hope. We then explored the 2 main hypotheses in the investigation, focusing on the mystery of the retracted flaps, which may have caused the plane to stall. We mastered 10 new and important vocabulary words like tragedy, hypothesis, and wreckage. And finally, we practiced using the past simple and the past continuous tenses to tell a clear and compelling story about past events. Discussing sad events like this can be tough, and I thank you for approaching this lesson with maturity and respect. Learning the language to talk about these real-world events in a respectful and clear way is a very valuable skill. You have done a great job handling a serious topic today. This story is a powerful reminder of the incredible importance of air, safety and the tireless work that investigators do to make flying safer for all of us. I'd like to ask you to share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. What do you think about the mystery of the crash? If you found this lesson valuable for your English learning, please give it a like, subscribe to Grow English Mastery for more lessons based on real-world topics, and share it with others who may benefit. I'm Scarlett. Thank you for joining me. For this serious discussion today, I'll see you in our next lesson. Goodbye for now.